Well, g'day tubes. Welcome to Bill question and answer number, what are we, 37 now? Holy smokes, eh? 37. So, before we get into it though, I got a little story for you. This is amazing. This company here is amazing, we'll say. They've provided me and us with lots of parts for our tractors and stuff for all these videos we've been making for repairing our tractor. When we got the steering box for the 800, replaced that steering box, I got it, and it came in that horrible, awful blue color. I don't know what it was painted in, but anyway, it was just nasty. But we got it all cleaned off, we got it all primed and all painted in the Ford red. We got the old one off, cleaned all that up, put this new one on. Basically, long story short, which is hood off, all the wiring off on that console thing that mounts to that steering box. Anyways, when we got all together, we had, remember, all that play in there. I'm like, this is even worse than the one I just took off. What is going on here? It's supposed to be like brand new. It should be tight, right? So anyways, I contacted them. I thought, you know what? I'm just going to contact them just to see what happens. So I went through their website, through their contact us thing, and holy smokes, I couldn't believe it. I got an email back pretty much right away. She's like, oh, okay, here's your return, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, return? What? They're going to actually send me out a brand new one, and I have to, of course, get this one off and then take it to the guy that I get some of my used parts from, that's in Ontario here, about an hour and a half away. And he's like a dealer for Steiner, so they end up taking this thing back. So I get basically a replacement exchanged, minus all the crap I got to go through to get the other one off and stuff, whatever. And hopefully the new one is good. So thank you, Steiner, for looking after that. That's amazing. But anyways, question and answer today. We've got not a whole lot of questions. We've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I figured I'd get on here and do these anyways. So this is July, looks like July 27th from Vince. Vince sends me a lot of messages here. It says, Bill, hope you get my message. Can you check this mod out for truck mod out for FS22? So when I was having trouble with trucks there and stuff, he sent me this mod. Also for Rust, can you build a huge vending machine store? Might do that on the next wipe. And he's got cemetery question. Vince asks a lot of questions to me here. So anyway, cemetery question. Does a cemetery have what I call a condo at the cemetery mausoleum wall? Yes, we do. We have a big one that's like a 3-foot door. Well, not quite 3 foot. Almost 3 foot by 3 foot door, and they're about 3/4 inches thick. Big, huge piece of marble. And they're long enough for actually 2 caskets, and then between each one you build like a cement kind of block wall. And then you can, when the next one dies, you put the next one in, you build a wall at the front, and then you put this door back on, and that's the door gets the letters and stuff. We have those, and then we have basically a wall for the niche. Niche is columbarium, what we call it, for urns, for cremated remains and the urns. So they go in there and they have the door imprinted on. There's no wall in there or nothing. That's just the way they are. So yes, we do. We do have those. Now, the big mausoleum for the full-size caskets, we don't have any more of. They were actually sold out in the mid-1970s. They were built somewhere in the mid-1940s, so it took a few years and they sold them out. But there's still people actually to go in them too, which is kind of weird. But now, I don't know if it's going to load this truck or not up here. Oh, it did. That's it there. So that's the International Eagle. Oh, it's got to load all the ads, that's why. That's it there. So he wants me to try to get this one and try it out. I'm pretty happy with the truck I've got now, so I don't know whether I'll switch to trucks. I did that in one of the episodes there, and it didn't end up going too well. So let's, yeah. But the vending machine base might do that too. Might just do like a separate little thing with like a hexagonal building that you can put all the vending bases, or we could do like a full inside mall kind of thing. You know, that'd be kind of cool too. Thanks, Vince, for sending that in. This next one's kind of interesting. This is from L.D. Massarelli. I don't know if I said that name right. I probably messed that up. I do apologize if I did. It says, who was the mechanic, and this is a Boris breakdown question. Who was the mechanical genius that thought a good idea to attach a 100 horsepower V8 to a 40 horsepower drive shaft? Actually, it's about a 24 horsepower drive shaft, to be honest. 1.5-inch drive shaft, and it snapped it. Couldn't believe it. Anyways, who's a mechanical genius that attach a 100 horsepower V8 to a 40 horsepower drive shaft? Unless you can figure out a way to beef up the drivetrain, then just putting that in that used rear end in the same larger engine at the some point will fail again. Totally agree. Tell you why it failed though. Too much torque for that puny little hollow drive. Now, it wasn't torque so much that did it. I'll tell you why in a sec. Good luck with the repair effort. Anyways, so who is a mechanical genius? Well, there is a kit from, I'd have to look it up now, but it was a kit my stepfather got from Indiana, I believe it was. A guy that makes these conversion kits. Why? Still, I don't know. I totally agree with you. It's probably way too much power for that little tractor, but technically we shouldn't have taken it out, quote, quote, for a drive like that. It should be basically just put on a trailer, driven to a show, backed off the trailer, parked, and looked at. Honestly. Now, why it failed was between the compartments. So you got the shifter transmission. There's a big shaft that's coming through there with all the gears attached to it. That's the shaft that broke on the other compartment on the other side. So through there, then it goes through there into the input shaft, and then on the clutch and stuff, you know, all that mechanism, right? So it was that shaft that broke that's coming through the transmission into the back compartment where all the hydraulic stuff is, because on those two plates, so the two compartments that join together and they bolt around the outside, the shaft's coming through, there was a gigantic, huge bearing in there on that shaft that had a cast iron bearing, what do you want to call it? The thing that bolts it down to the casing. Cast iron. So what I think happened was that shaft was spinning so fast because it had a Sherman overdrive transmission in it, and I had it in fourth gear high range when I was going down the road there. And I think that shaft was spinning so fast that it's probably not a balanced shaft. It's not meant to spin, and it was never meant to spin that fast. So if it's out of balance, I think it really did a lot of damage to that and vibration to that cast iron. I don't know exactly what you call it, but it holds the bearing tight to the casing so the bearing doesn't go all over the place. So I think it started to break that casting, and then that whole bearing was moving like this, and then it just kind of, I mean, it can only hold that for so long, right? Now I did hear kind of some funny weird noises all day, and I think once I really spooled her up there, that's what happened. So anyways, you can blame the mechanical genius on the guy from Indiana that developed this conversion kit to mount the old transmission to the new engine. What else was in here? So yes, it's about a 25 horsepower actual original engine out of that thing. 8 ends don't have a lot of power. You can't really beef up the drivetrain in that. I don't believe I'm gonna, when I reassemble the new rear end to it, I don't think I'm gonna put that Sherman back in, because you really don't need to be going that fast with that thing, and it technically shouldn't have ever had that in there, and it wouldn't have spun that fast, and it probably would still be fine in the regular 4-speed. Because to break the shaft like that, as you're stating in here, let's see now. What was it here? Unless you figure a way to beef up the... Okay, so yeah, that was from vibration. Now, if you had a 3-furrow plow hooked onto it, and you're pulling with that kind of power, and if the plow hooked on, I could see the engine and then breaking the shaft that way from torque. that wasn't a torque brake. I can guarantee you that wasn't a torque brake. Teeny little hollow drive. Yeah, that little shaft was kind of small, wasn't it? Like, it was weird, but it actually broke like the main shaft too that went right through the tractor. I can't believe that. So anyways, hopefully that kind of explains it. Technically now it's not going to get that Sherman back in it because that was just, it's too fast, honestly. Like, that thing's way too fast, and too much vibration, obviously. But the torque, no, it didn't really have anything to do with torque. I'll tell you what though, that clutch really hooked on good though. Holy smokes, that, I don't think that clutch slipped or spun at all. But anyways, yeah, so hopefully that answers that question. But basically my stepdad seen this, I think, at a show, and or in a magazine or something. I think he was telling me or something that he seen someone that put a V8 into one of these tractors. And he's like, he thought for a couple years, like, I'd really like to do that. And his buddy, that was like a mechanical genius, basically. He was, what was he? Tool and die kind of guy. I think he sort of did. And he's like, well, why don't, screen went off, sorry. He's like, well, why don't you do it? He's like, okay. So then both of them kind of worked at it through the years. I do have a book that he took pictures as they're working on things, so I should show you that sometime. I think maybe I have once, but I'll show it on another video sometime. But anyways, hopefully that answers the question. It wasn't torque, it was vibration. Speed and vibration. And alright, the next one here is from Videos by Al. He says, I'm resending my question. It got missed on 36. I don't remember this in here, so I don't know if I got it. Maybe it went into like a junk folder or whatever folder. I don't know. But anyways, we got her now. We got her now, Al. So this is Al from Iowa. You have a mower blade balancing with a centering cone and magnets. I do. He says, what brand do you have, and was it a good investment? Well, I'll tell you what. If you look up Magnamatic, MAGNA-MATIC, and you go to their products and you go to blade balancers, I've got the Magnamatic 1000, I think it is, balancing instrument. It was expensive. It was 216 bucks. But it's got this cone thing, and it's like a cone, and then it's got this magnet thing that pushes in and out of this cone thing. So depending on what size your blade hole is, you adjust it to the cone, and then the magnet sticks it to there. And it's got a super smooth, sensitive magnet or bearings in it that it's almost too sensitive, because it's like it'll sense like if you're off like a half a grind on that thing, and it'll start going, you know, and then it'll kind of come around, and then it'll get heavy again, and then basically when it's heavy on the bottom, you take it off, grind a little more off of that side, put it back on, and then, you know, it's almost too crazy. But here's a picture of what it looks like. Anyways, that's the Magnamatic there. That's the one I got. They have different ones too. I really don't know. Maybe they're different sizes or whatever. But gold edition, it's like, wow, why is it 280 and this one's 314? It's pretty expensive. So, but it was good. It was a good investment, and like I say, it's almost too accurate, because you can sit there for a long time just to get, okay, one more, okay, put that on. I also have the Oregon, O-R-E-G-O-N, Oregon mower blade sharpener. I can't remember what it's called, but I also have, yeah, that's it. A 1/2 horsepower blade grinder, and it's been really good. It's not quite the same. They changed the switch on it, but basically, let's flip you around here again. Basically, it's that guy there, and you can sharpen it from both sides. It works good. It's been in some of my videos. 1/2 horsepower. It was expensive too, though, but definitely well worth it. I've been happy with that too, and I haven't replaced the stone on it yet, which has been pretty good. So Yeah, so hopefully that answers your question. That's a really good one. Okay, the next one here is a lot of questions. I think there's 7 of them in one email. And this is from Dylan Fisher. He says, hi Bill, here are some questions for you. Number 1, he says, what kind of music do you listen to? Well, I grew up in like the 80s, 90s-ish kind of things, so I'm kind of into like that sort of stuff. Honestly, I really don't care as long as it doesn't give me a headache and it's not repetitive banging in my head all the time. 80s music, 90s music kind of thing. Just, I don't really have a favorite. Stevie Nicks, I kind of like her stuff a bit, but yeah, music's good. A little bit of everything, just not the rap or hard banging stuff kind of thing, right? Number 2, what other jobs have you had, if any, before working at the cemetery? Oh yes, I've had a few jobs. So for 7 years before here, I worked at the tool and equipment rental place in town here. That was a fun job. Like any job, it had its good things and its not good things. But it mostly was good. Before then, I was in school, like high school, and I worked at a tire place for summer, and that was really crappy. I was the kid then. So I got all the crap jobs. I only stayed there for like a year, and I went did the school, and then I got into the rental. I was there for like 7 years, finished school and stuff, and worked there for 7 years. Got married actually through there too, and started my family and stuff right then too. And then my wife's dad ran the cemetery here, and he was getting to the point where he's like, I'm pretty much had enough of this. Do you want to take it over? So I'm like, yeah, sure, I guess, you know. So I ended up taking it over. I've been here like 20 years now, believe it or not. It's hard to believe, but number 3, did Dylan finish his co-op training with you? Yes, he did. And he's actually been working with me this summer too, which is good, making adult money, we'll say. So he's been making the money and spending it just the same. But anyways, no, that's good. He's been here helping me. This will be his 4th summer basically with me, helping me. So it really makes a big difference, especially with the trimming and stuff. All the weed whacking around the stones, man, that's a lot of work for one person. And the mowing too, and doing burials. And it's nice to have the second person help you lift stuff, and you know, it's good. So number 4, long time ago, yes, long time viewer, LOL. Those wash huts were next to your shop garage. Did you leave them or tear them down? Oh, they had installed kind of somewhat of a glorified outhouse there. It was basically like not a full flush washroom system. They basically kind of fell apart, and they just didn't want to bother fixing them, so we ended up just kind of closing them off. They're still there, but all the water and stuff that was going to the sink has been disconnected like a lot of years ago, and yeah, it's basically that's it. So if someone needs a washroom, if they come and get me, we have like a full washroom in our office there now, so I just open that up for them and they can use that. Boy, that is a long time viewer. That's amazing. Good for you. Thanks for watching too. How long does it take for, number 5, how long does it take for you to go through the big diesel tank before it needs to be refilled? Well, that really depends on how many funerals I get, how much snow we get for plowing, and how much grass I've got to cut. All those factors will definitely change how much I use, but basically once a year. But now I went to get it refilled, and the guy, I was talking to him, and he's looking at the tank, he's like, you're still using this tank? I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't I be? Ooh. He's looking at it, he's like, I think we're going to replace that one for you. I'm like, okay. And it's all leased stuff, right? So I talked to the owner of the company. I'm like, well, maybe, you know, if you got a bigger tank, I'll maybe go with a bigger tank this one. So I think we went with like, what size is it? 1,200 gallon maybe, or something like that. It's maybe even bigger than that. Maybe it's an 1,800 gallon. It's a big tank, but we went with the bigger tanks because, you know, it leaves a lot of diesel, and it's nice to just to have it on hand, and it doesn't go bad as fast as gas does, right? So I haven't checked the level on it since I got it filled. I think it was, probably last fall, so we're almost up to a year now. And if I'm down to half, I'd be surprised. It's quite a bit bigger tank, so, but that's good. A good question too. Number 6, have you traveled to the United States? Yes, I have a few times. Went to Florida a few times, once. Been to Michigan in my younger years with my family. And nothing really west of here, though. I always wanted to travel west, you know, and Colorado and stuff. Never went that way. It's sort of always on this side, but in the States. Been to Chicago, almost to Chicago once with my stepdad in his transport truck when he was driving. Where else? A lot of Michigan, Ohio and stuff, but Sarah and I, before we were married, actually, I'm surprised her parents let her go. We actually went down to Florida for a couple of weeks, and that cost me a lot of money. Not because of the trip, because I blew a transmission on the way down in Florence, Kentucky. I'll never forget that name. And the Mr. Transmission, there was a Mr. Transmission there, and so they rebuilt the transmission. It took forever because they like needed parts, and they couldn't get this part, and then they'll have to wait another like 3 days for this part, and this part come in, and they finally got it ready. I think we were there for like 2 weeks waiting for the truck. It was terrible, sitting in a hotel room. So unfortunately, that ate up 98% of our funds for going to Florida. So we still went down. We were staying with friends down there, actually family down there, and we didn't get to do anything we wanted to, you know, like I wanted to go to, not necessarily Disney, but Universal Studios, and there's a couple other places, I can't remember now what it was, what I wanted to go to, and no, couldn't do that, didn't have no money left. So another big story with that was a nightmare anyways. Number 7, what restaurant do you like to go to, or what is your favorite home cooked meal? Oh boy. We like going for breakfast on Saturday mornings, usually, sometimes Sunday if I have to work Saturday. And the odd time we'll go out for like a dinner or something, but not super too often. What is your favorite home cooked meal? I'm kind of fond of roast beef or lasagna. Always liked lasagna. Really depends what you put in it and how you make it, but yeah, lasagna. Sometimes spaghetti if the sauce is right, you know. What else? Ribs. Ribs is my weak one. Oh yeah, big time. Ribs or chicken wings is another big one too, but all those are really not good for you either. So that is it. Number 7. It's nice. That's from Dylan Fisher. Thanks, Dylan. That's a lot of questions. Hopefully I answered them all for you. All right, our last one here today is from Skylar. That's a really cool name. I really like that name. Hey, Bill, Skylar from Michigan. Again, hope you and your family are well. We're doing pretty good. Yep. Hope you're good too. I'm wondering wondering who locks or unlocks the gate at the cemetery here. Tends to the cemetery when your family are on vacation. Well, unfortunately, we don't get a lot of vacations here. More like day trips kind of thing we'll do or whatever. I've been away on vacation before and I had people do it, but when I get back, I got like so much to catch up on and so many people to call back and getting this figured out and blah, blah, blah. It's like, what's the point of going away? I might as well just stay here and do this crap, you know? So I just basically, we don't really go anywhere because there's just so involved back here with all this stuff, you know, opening and closing the gates and calling people back and doing burials and meeting with people to buy a plot, and there's just got to be here basically all the time, which really sucks. But it's nice to get away, but it's also expensive to get away too. Now you got to pay a lot of money to go stay somewhere, right? So but we do like day trips and stuff, and you know, we got the dog now, and yeah, we can take her on vacation, but you know, it's a little more than just jumping in the vehicle and going, packing a bag and going. She's got her animals out here too, like the chickens and stuff, and you know, someone's got to come look after them too while we're away, and it's hard to find someone that would come and do everything, right? So we're almost too tied down to kind of get away. I'd have to go probably on my own, and maybe between my wife and Dylan, that they could kind of keep an eye on the place here too, right, and sort of do it for a week or whatever. But I would still have to come do phone calls and calling people back, and it's really need to get someone just for the office to do that. That would be nice. But anyways, yeah, we don't just generally get away too often. But anyways, thanks, Scholar, for that question. So that is it for, what the heck was this, 37? 37. Question and answer 37. So if you got a question you want to ask, The email's in the description there. Just send an email out and we'll put her on the video. But anyways, thanks again. Catch us all later, and you guys have a good day.